because they would
Stuff
go on
around.
certain days and they would have fish fries for us that they funded money to do. And one day I came to work, it was Valentine's Day, right? And there was a box of candy, this big old huge balloon of flowers. I was like, what the heck? Bobby T, Men of Valor, did that for me. That was so awesome. Yeah.
He's a very good speaker. Always has been.
See, you guys haven't seen when he had his office, he had his pictures on the wall from like police things and when he lived on the streets. His hair was like out here. He had his cart and somebody was talking to him. It ended up in the newspaper. And when we were at 1041 in his office, it was decorated with that stuff. So you could come and read and you'd be like, whoa. Compared to where he was, I don't know if you remember his office.
I do, yeah. There's so many things on his wall.
So many things.
So much stuff.
Hey, Jenny, got something for you. It is what it is now.
No, that is true. That is very true. It is what it is right now.
Now,
Right.
you know,
It's
tell
all
you
it
what,
is.
you gotta have an answer.
Right. Hey, good morning, Mom.
Taught me that. So you're a leader. You let me lead. It is what it is now.
It is.
That's when infinity ends. Why is the sky blue? Because it just is. That's your answer, and go away. Thank you, Jay.
Anytime.
Yeah, thank
Give us the resident.
You ready?
Mhm.
Older people.
You ready for this?
Yes,
Da, 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 da.
we're ready. Okay, well, look there. Sometimes you get a little bit shot.
Carol.
So I know you know, I need to say that, you know, that we ain't that. So, all right, you know, say what
Yeah, so it's a little. Hey, Daryl.
I gotta get on the phone. Okay, well, listen. Okay,
We need one of those, the things that blocks the signal.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work like that.
Well, the doors are, you know, says and says, so we could close it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, quiet.
Okay. We'll just try it again. Take a deep breath in. Let it go. Let your body fill up with oxygen with another big breath in. And let it relax on the exhale. We'll do another big breath in, nourishing your body with spirit and offering it to the universe with grace.
What now?
And just let the sound of the tingsas move through your ears, move through your body, and move through your breath.
Oh, sorry.
Settling into your body, into your breath, and into your spirit, your soul, your essence in this now moment. We get to just be here for your next little bit together. For body, mind, spirit with me, I'm Jane. We got some people online. Yeah, happy group. Breathe deeply, y'all. And turn off your cell phones. That's funny. So I wanted to do a check-in. We are moving through some big changes with this eclipse. This energy is a little bit wonky, I think, for a lot of people right now. I'm seeing it kind of outside of myself. I think a lot of people are having some challenges with their mental body right now. I don't know if y'all are seeing that outside of you. And maybe your friends or like just out.
So it is a whatever, so.
We're getting ready to have a solar eclipse. A lunar eclipse, sorry. Mental body, yeah.
What does it do to a human?
So it can do a lot, actually. So if you imagine every planet having almost like a different color flashlight, and each planet is shining this flashlight upon Earth, right? And if I'm sitting, and if we're all planets right now, and we all have the Earth right there, right? And we all have a different color flashlight, and we're shining it on that Earth. Depending on where you are on that Earth and kind of how sensitive you are to different lights, it's going to affect you really differently, right? So imagine that during this, we're all sitting there holding our different color flashlights on the earth, and Rodney comes back through and blocks one of them, right? Because he's going to walk through. So we'll just imagine him coming through and blocking that. And that would have a really big like wobble on all this energy that had been coming right at us, right? So imagine each of these light flashlight colors having an effect on us in a way that feels either really secure. Maybe Mars makes us feel secure with its flashlight, and the moon shining its light makes us feel creative. Maybe the sun shining its light makes us feel energized, and maybe Venus's flashlight makes us feel like we want to be in relationships. So during this portal of eclipses that we've been through, because almost 2 weeks ago, it started when we had a solar eclipse and the new moon. And so now we're moving to the full moon with a lunar eclipse. So that's just a lot of flashlight lights that are being really wobbled around for us.
Okay, another question. What about the new solar things they're having on top of the house now without electricity? So that's really closer. What's that's more dangerous to me than what you talking about the eclipse. But still, it's dangerous for a human body.
For the solar panels?
Yeah. That's
You
what I'm
think?
trying to understand.
I don't
Since you
I don't
explained
feel it-
about that and that.
I don't feel
They
like the
changed
solar
that over
panels.
to houses, new houses now. It's
Yeah.
gonna not be electric. It's gonna be a lot of people's gonna want that. Well, however you want to say it's cheaper. You kind of understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know if I think
There's
I
two
don't-
forms. One's a water heater, and some of them are actually, like you said, electric.
right.
Solar, that's charging a battery somewhere.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's versus AC, yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you got that.
But one thing, like if I have a solar panel on my house, nobody else is really going to get affected by that, right?
Right.
But if the sun does a big movement in the cosmos, that's going to affect everybody, right?
Like that.
And so what I'm noticing, around me, and I'm curious if you all are noticing this with yourself or others, is that a lot of people are just having a really hard time mentally with their emotions. Meaning they're having a really hard time understanding what their emotions are doing. They don't understand why they're so mad. They don't understand why all of a sudden they feel sad.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make sense why I just got this rush of grief. And so in that lack of understanding, that space of mental confusion, people tend to react because we don't feel safe when we're confused.
No.
Right? So if I don't feel safe, then I might act a fool. I don't mean to, but I may. Right? So I'm curious if you all are seeing this, whether it's within yourself or out in yourself, or is anyone else seeing it in yourselves or outside of yourself?
I'm sorry, I stepped out the room for a minute.
That's
What are we
okay.
seeing in ourselves?
What I was just saying about the mental, not understanding the emotional body.
Okay.
I'm thinking about putting a aluminum foil around my head.
Make like a little cone.
Ah,
I just keep looking at the spraying of the skies every day.
wait till you get
They
back
haven't
from
been
the
spraying
green.
lately.
Not today, no.
No, and they didn't yesterday. It was very windy yesterday.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I noticed that they didn't spray yesterday and they haven't sprayed today. But the weather's also been very different. It's been very cool and very windy.
A lot of people are sneezing though.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of sneezes. I mean, and then you know what? It's like usually somebody have like 2 sneezes. No, they are continuing to sneeze. You gotta say bless you like 15 times. Bless you again. Bless you again.
So basically, what you and I know about this, about the geoengineering, I pushed this onto my family to understand it. And now I've got my nephew, my brother, almost before they do anything to look at the sky to see what the future weather is going to be, or the poisons they're going to receive from it.
Right? And
So-
how,
And I'm not trying to push it, but I'm just trying to make them understand.
yeah.
That's just one form of them trying to create weather. And most people are saying, you're crazy. You can't create weather. I'm just saying, they've been doing it since the 1900s.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't want to believe that, right?
Right.
And that then okay, so if that is a truth, which I feel it is, but again, that's just based on my studies, and
Pure fact of it.
I know that. And for some people that maybe have a really deep belief and honor in the system, then that would give a lot of people this. I can't understand why someone would do such big harm. I don't understand why they would do that. And then the lack of being able to understand, right?
They don't want to.
Right. And so imagine all of a sudden everything I just don't understand. Right. I don't understand why people.
Talking to me about it,
Yeah. Or like.
I'm having a moment. That's what you mean. I'm having a moment. Yeah.
Having a moment.
If you don't mind, just another perspective, I don't think it's so much that people don't understand something. A lot of times people, when they're not aware that something that you believe in or believe to be true is true, they look to see evidence of it. And seeing trails from the ends of airplanes isn't evidence that there's a global conspiracy to control our weather and pollute our crops. I mean, that's just not evident. I mean, maybe there's more that you know that we don't know. So I'm just saying the fact that somebody questions something that isn't proven to be true does not mean, I don't know why you think that's funny.
No, but.
I mean, question something that sounds fictitious and isn't proven to be true doesn't mean that they have a lack of understanding or comprehension. It just means they don't see any evidence of it and it sounds far-fetched.
Exactly. You know,
I mean,
like-
and that's
it's
fine that you believe that. It just doesn't mean if something
Right.
doesn't. That
it's like I don't believe that Fiji is a real island. I've never been there and there's no evidence for it. Other people can say there is and there are photos of it. And other people have said that they've been there. Hold on. And other people can say that they have been there and they have documentation, but I don't believe it's real.
That's not
And
really the
that's
same
okay.
thing. though.
Wow. But it is.
Yeah.
And I say that it is because everything that one believes is their truth.
That's true.
And it is a truth. So if I can say, but I don't believe it. We can argue about it all day, but Fiji isn't real to me.
What's a picture?
Well,
Hold on.
you say that more so that because it suits you though, not necessarily because it's true. Fiji, you can actually go to Fiji if you wanted to see if it's true. It's not really the same thing. It's
But
like
my
I can
point
say
is
my
also-
personal truth is
Where's
that
it
the
at?
earth is going to
Where's
explode
it?
tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can say anything, but just because you said something is your
That what it is?
personal, just because you say something is your personal truth,
No.
does not mean that it is factual.
So
That's
so
all,
let's
it's not the same
okay,
thing.
take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Just let it go.
Can I?
Because I like to get one person at a time so that we can all hear and be heard. And so the point of it, though, right? The point of it is based on the statement of there's no evidence. Just because it looks this way doesn't mean it's true.
Mhm.
It still may not be true. Same reason. I said the same thing. I said the same exact thing. Instead of me saying weather manipulation, I said an island. I could say that the Bermuda Triangle doesn't have any magnetic shifting around it and that there's no evidence of anything actually happening. And other people can say, but my grandparent was on a plane that went down. I could be like, well, yeah, but like, no. So I say this because when we all have our own perspective.
Yeah.
And we all have our belief and we can prove our beliefs.
Mhm.
I can prove climate manipulation. I can prove these things. Someone else can prove that Fiji is real. Someone else can prove that their ancestors came from whatever indigenous tribe.
Correct.
Right? Now, I may have an ancestor that came from an indigenous tribe and maybe I don't have proof of it. Other than Great Spirit may be telling me and showing me through my ancestral meditations and lineage and through prayer and meditation that like, oh, I know exactly where my roots are. But if I don't have documentation of proof and evidence, then what? Then I don't get a benefit, right? I don't get, maybe people don't believe me, right? And so here's the thing about belief. It doesn't matter.
Right. Can I say something?
Whatever
I
it
believe
is
he
that-
went to the moon,
right?
and they did.
You said you don't believe that they
No.
did? I'm so curious.
That's
Again,
just like a Fiji,
Hold
what y'all talking about.
right, okay, so and remember, everybody's beliefs are accepted here because this is a space of radical acceptance and there is no judgment. There's no I'm right because or you're wrong because, right? So there's there's none of that. I'm just curious. No judgment. Deal?
Deal.
Deal, no judgment?
Yeah.
Okay. Who believes that we went to the moon?
That's my belief.
Okay. Who believes that we did not go to the moon? What if we're both right?
Exactly.
How would we know?
Can I say
Exactly.
Please, ain't nobody question. I want to say something.
How would you know?
Listen, that whole thing we was
The
talking
brother
about.
got a
That,
trip to go there.
hold on. The whole thing we was talking about that reincarnation, right? You be reincarnated. They say, hey, it's been here. This person right here say, hey, there was in that car. They was in this house, right? But I'm thinking the whole, like, what is the numbers on that? That person right there. How many people did they question to get these kind of answers? And then he's listening to a child, you know what I'm saying? And they're kind of like, you know, doing make believe. You know, come on, look, it's kind of hard for me to, you know, get just on reincarnation because it didn't happen to me. And you know what I'm saying? Because I don't remember that kind of stuff. So I'm not one of them numbers in there. You know what I'm saying? So, and then numbers don't lie. I mean, how many times you have to see these numbers, you know, as they roll up and say, yeah, this hits on this one. Because I played the lottery and I stopped doing that. But you know what I'm saying? And I got billions of chances to freaking win. All right, so it's kind of difficult for me when the numbers don't add up to say, you know, this is feasible, you know, because they don't lie, you know.
But that uses a different sense.
Yeah.
It uses a different sense.
Yeah, I see what it numbers.
There's a sense that humans have, and it's all a little different. Some call it common sense, and I don't agree with that term. But what it is, it's a way to see through the evidence provided to see other options and alternatives. So I might see around this way and say this is a truth and a belief, and someone might see around this way and see something totally different. Neither of which actually have evidence, right? But just kind of basing it on what I do see, I come to this conclusion, and then you come to this one. Doesn't mean that anyone's right or wrong, because here's the thing about the evidence provided, it's never complete. It's kind of like when I think about, you know, the landing on the moon. It was really interesting that the first person that walked on it was Neil Armstrong,
Yeah.
right? But it was really interesting because there was already a camera outside of the moon ship to take the video.
No. That's right.
Where did that camera? Who put on the camera?
Yeah, somebody was there first.
But this is the camera on the spaceship.
It wasn't
It
because the video was of him walking off of the spaceship.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where I get curious. I'm like, okay.
I was
So
in the classroom.
it's like, but we see this on social
Miss
media.
Turtlefield, that's my
We see
my
this-
kindergarten teacher. I remember my kindergarten
Hang on.
teacher's name.
We see this on
We saw
social
it at
media.
Moonland.
Hang on. We see this on social media, right? Where it'll be a video, it'll be the phone or camera set up, and it's someone walking in, and they're supposed to be alone in the house. But what you went in there first to set up your reaction.
But
Right.
you have
So
no
then I
Bluetooth
just
cameras now.
question. Well, yeah, now. But so that's why I just question. Like, well, the evidence shows this person got off of the ship, and look at we got to witness the first steps on the moon.
Oh yeah, that was fade.
But
That
then
was
it's like,
fade.
but then
That's
it's
my
like,
favorite thing.
then it's like, Rodney, please stop interrupting me.
I'm sorry, I'm
So
excited.
then it's like, who put the video camera there in the
Yeah.
first place?
Yeah.
Mom, right? So for me, my sense says that doesn't align. There's a truth that's not being shown. And someone else could say, well, based on the evidence, my sense says that I don't know. I can't think of an explanation for how a video got on the moon before the first human. I don't get it. So whatever that would be, that, right? Like,
But
you know, whatever that reason or method would be.
the reflector that
So, just what you said earlier about all beliefs Did I just spill water all over the floor? I did.
Don't worry, I get some.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rodney.
It's running.
I got.
Just all beliefs being accepted,
That's what.
and just to, say, I don't personally believe this, but what if somebody here were to say that they believe some people in this group, based on a group they qualify in, whether it be sexual preference, race, masculine, feminine, or inferior to another group? To me, that is false. But to say that that is neither true or false, that it can be true and false at the same time, it sounded like what you were saying earlier. I don't think, I'm not one that believes that some things can't be true and false at the same time. Some things just are true or they aren't. And to me, to think one group of, but I'm entertaining.
If I asked you what direction a clock spins,
Kind of God, I ain't going backwards.
someone would say, who says clockwise?
Yeah, I gotta say God.
That's what we call it.
Okay, and then who says
That ain't the way it
counterclockwise?
is.
Who says counterclockwise?
You can't count that.
Right.
That
No.
ain't true. I know.
Here's the thing. So we're just gonna pretend that this is the clock. Okay? And you're looking at it and it's spinning, you said clockwise?
Right, we ain't
This
in
way?
Australia.
But if you look
Right.
if you're on the other side of the
Yeah, guess
hemisphere,
what? Guess what? It's
counterclockwise.
counterclockwise from my perspective.
Right. Oh, okay.
That's how all things can be true. It depends on the perspective in which we're seeing it.
Okay.
Everything is.
Yeah.
I could say that,
Okay, I see your point.
I could say that, all women who wear yellow shirts are amazing and kind.
Okay, fine. Yellow shirt, hey, yellow shirt. All right.
What?
See, you're amazing and kind. Your yellow shirt
I
tells
said I
you
could have a
you're
belief.
amazing
I
and
could
kind.
say that all women that wear yellow shirts are amazingly
Amazing
kind.
kind.
Right?
Amazing.
Now
Amazing.
what if? Now what if? What if Rodney has only had experiences with women in yellow shirts who've been very unkind to him? Right? I know. But what if? No matter what I tell him, no matter how I prove that women in yellow shirts are amazing and kind, he will not ever be able to see that. Because his experience is that all women in yellow shirts have been mean and unkind to him. And it would take a lot for him to even trust and open up to the idea that my truth is even a possibility just because of his experience. So I say that because everything is based on our perspective. So now, putting this into reality, there's a lot of stuff happening outside of us, in the government, around the world, stuff that we are not being shown that some of us do look at.
Yeah.
There's a
Exactly.
revolt, a complete revolution in community in Paris right now. They are completely overthrowing the government right now.
Well, they've
But
been doing
we're
that
not
for
we're
years.
not going to talk about that in the news here, right? We're just
No.
going to talk about, I don't even know what, I don't look at the
Never heard
news
of
here.
But
Right.
most of the things that like Kate said, you know what I'm saying, it's a monetary reason, like, the whole digging the planet up for oil and shit. You know what I'm saying? This is for monetary value, and we got another source and everything we can use.
Remind me to talk about oil for a second.
Oh, okay.
I have something to say about that.
Go ahead.
That'll bring this, it's very interesting.
So would you agree with this statement that most things are not black and white, they're sort of gray? There's things overlap.
No,
Is that kind of where you're going?
Yes and no. There's black and white and gray, but then you also have the rainbow and full spectrum of color in
Right.
there.
Now, every color you see when you look outside.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
just look at all the colors you see.
Exactly. So oil, what if? Okay. So, we've been told that the oil, that it's a fossil fuel,
But it's not.
and we've been told that it's limited, and right, like we're being told that we're running out. That's what we've been told. So much so that they're like kind of, I'm going to use this word, it's a little dramatic and it's not really a truth, but I'm going to say that they're making us feel bad.
Right.
Like I feel bad if I have to use my heat, and now they're
Yeah,
jacking up the
they-
price
they-
because now it's,
Yeah.
so
Monetary
and now
reason.
I'm cold, I'm uncomfortable, I'm feeling guilty,
Everything is
and now
a
I'm paying
monetary
more.
scam.
right? Because it's a limited resource, right?
That is a-
Now, what if I say that the earth is regenerating it and it's literally, we can't run out.
Can't run out.
Right.
Just like they all
So
talk about
They
the
digging
government.
in that earth.
And we ain't got no
Right.
money,
Earth up.
but
You
I
we in a
agree with that, for
$16
sure.
trillion deficit.
Right, so think about this,
Down in the ocean, messing up the,
the
And they ain't got
water.
no money.
putting all
So
that.
think-
messing
so think
up
about
the
this.
mammals, the whales, they terrible.
So think about this. So what if it's
Good.
not limited, but what if the way that they get it
Yeah.
is like very mean and unkind?
Yes, it
Yeah,
Right,
think about
free.
China.
that they'll actually take land
Right.
from the
They
indigenous,
Right.
right, to put these pipelines in, you
Take down
know,
trees and stuff to do that.
totally.
Come
And
on.
literally taking land away from the few people that are still like genetically
Right.
committed to stewarding the
And
land.
then they get sick because we bring disease to them. Now, listen to this, Jane. Now, you know, you fellas, you know, and you give me grounding. And then, like, if I was born on Mars, what would I be? I'd
You would be a
Martian.
Rodney.
I'd be a Martian.
You'd
No,
still be
I'd
a
be
Rodney.
a Martian if I'm born. No, I'm born on Earth. Hold on, let me finish. Now, I'm born on Earth, right? I mean, and I'm born on this side of this globe. And somebody else born on this side of this globe. But what that make them still earthling, just different color, just, you know, different location. You know? So come on, how can you bid judgment to a color, a creed, a person, you know what I'm saying, living somewhere? So you said that they are building something indigenous place, right? And these people right there never had been in that kind of climate with this kind of torture that's happening in the land. Now, it's bringing disease and all that to them and everything. And we just, you know, going to just overlook that because of monetary reasons.
Well, now how can we overlook it?
No, we just don't be
hang
told.
on, hang on.
Yeah,
Hang on.
we just don't be told.
Hang on. How is it that we can overlook something like that? They wouldn't let us know it,
That part.
right? Like, how can I overlook companies that are funded by Wells Fargo, for example, and taking all of the indigenous land to create pipelines for oil? It's like, how, like, when I think about and feel about that, that doesn't feel good in my heart, right? Like, I mean, if it does feel good in your heart, no judgment, but it doesn't feel good in my heart, you know? And so when I'm like, but why doesn't everybody know about this? Because I feel like if everybody knew about it, we would all stand up and say, that doesn't feel good. But then I realized that it's information, it is a truth of what is actually happening in reality that they don't share with us. It's like only the select few that get to do the research or that are privy to certain news sources or investigators get to learn these truths,
True.
right?
Called scam.
And now some may not believe that it's true, right? Because like, so what if I'm like a big high up at Wells Fargo and I'm a big high up like manager, whatever, CEO, whatever, I don't know. And I'm making six figures a year and I'm working at Wells Fargo and I see this news that says Wells Fargo is funding the gas pipelines going through Alaska, taking the land from all of the indigenous. I'm probably just gonna put that away because I'm not gonna be able to reconcile that in my mental body. My mind won't be able to say, oh my God, that doesn't feel good for the heart, because the mind is gonna go with like, well, you can't quit. You're making six figures. You have a family to support. You have this car to pay for, blah, 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 blah. So there's too much on the line. So all that to say is, I feel like what's happening is that there's a lot of news coming out. There's a lot of information coming out. Exactly. For people to see and go, whoa, I don't really know how to handle this because it doesn't feel good with my emotions. So now I'm starting to feel these emotions that I'm not really sure what to do with because my mind doesn't even fully believe at how messed up this could be. This is real.
Yeah.
Right?
Sadness
And the thing is that, and then we all have our own like life to deal with. But we also are here, like Rodney said, we're all here as earthlings. You know, we're all brothers and sisters on this earth plane. Like we're all affected by greed, by fear, right? By control. We're all affected by these things. And so when we see how others are affected, our heart gets activated. Our emotional body is going to get activated.
Come back to the
Because we
movie
don't like that.
Last Mohican. A whole
So,
Hang on, Rodney.
citizenship.
On that note, I did hear something recently that didn't surprise me, but it kind of made me feel that way. Because I don't think everybody has the same sensibilities, but this was kind of interesting because it had a good bit of irony to it. So some of us, I don't think anybody in this room, but some of us have pensions, especially if they work through large corporations, through unions. You know, it's more of an older generation thing. Pensions have kind of gone the way about the wagon and the horse or whatever. But anyway, they were talking about pensions, and they were talking about employees with companies that really don't offer pensions, and they were talking about all these financial entities that buy things up to make money. And one of the things they do is they buy up companies. And what they do, this is something that kind of started in the 80s and sort of Reaganomics. Corporate raiders, they buy a company up, and then they streamline that company, fire a bunch of people to make the company more profitable. They make a profit. So the pension funds have been, some of them union pension funds or government pension funds, have been investing in these financial institutions, which are essentially buying up companies and devouring them, firing a bunch of people. So on the one hand, the union pension holders are getting their yearly increase at the cost of the other workers. So they're essentially pitting one worker against the other in an even larger way than they did ever before. I just thought that was kind of interesting, kind of an example of what you were talking about.
Yeah, and they're doing it also with homes.
Yeah, true.
Big companies.
They doing it in PR, you don't get fractured.
Why do you
no
keep
more.
interrupting me
I'm sorry, I
today?
get excited. I get excited.
Like, you know, and they're doing that with homes, right? These big companies are buying homes and then they're tearing them down and building $1 million homes that the persons that lived in that whole neighborhood can't afford anyway.
Taxes.
And so then it
Sit
makes the
around there.
property taxes go up, and then the
$1,000.
people that could afford to live there just can't even afford to pay the taxes.
Yeah, you can see it.
Oh, yeah.
And they're buying up all the
Seen
real
it in
estate.
my
too.
own neighborhood. I'm just like,
It's right across the street.
it's not for
It's
big
nuts.
time.
It's
Big
it's
time.
so-
It really
You
is.
see $1 million home here, and a damn hundred, and not even nowhere no close to that type of money. And
Yeah.
they're right next to it. That's something that
It's
we're doing, it's like
weird.
to say.
And so
And it's Charlotte, all
Yeah.
around the city, north, south, east, and west.
yeah, and so then it's like,
Again,
how do we not let our mind like just run away with this news, you know, this information? How can we see what is happening without letting our mind kill our bodies?
That's why I gotta stop.
Because,
I had
right?
to stop thinking.
That's
I think of being, thought.
I can't hear everybody, but everybody's having fun. I'm just gonna sing over it because I can't.
Everybody else gets that wrong, but I got to be
I
quiet.
can't. Oh when. Nobody's ever heard Rodney talk.
I mean, come on,
Oh my
ain't nobody heard you talk. Come on, he's doing the same stuff. But it's business on me, you know. I'm getting judged. I'm getting judged by that.
It's
Nobody's
not
I'm getting judged going around in the room. Judgment.
Take a deep breath.
Ah.
Todd was gonna say something.
Oh, I was just gonna say, that's a bubble, like you were saying, it's out of control. So it's a bubble like 2008, it's gonna burst. And everybody's gonna be so in debt, they can't get out of debt because their house is not worth the debt that it's in.
Yeah, the dead is.
So how do we not like, so my question is, because this reality is getting a little bit weirder.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
yeah. There's
So
nothing
then-
fraction no
hold
more.
on.
It
So-
gotta be
Hang on.
boom.
So how
Get that.
do we, the question is, how do we let our minds not drive us completely wonkadoodle?
Don't know. Come on, I think a billion dollars said
What are you talking about?
everyone knows.
Why are they doing this?
Yeah, I'm sorry. My head is
How
about
about
to
you,
go off.
bro? Yes, sir.
For me, I try to focus more on the present moment, which I
We see
think you
that
do as well.
here.
But you know, the real estate thing we were just talking about, interesting
All
point.
of us on the right.
I've always thought
Sorry.
in this country, we have monopoly laws, anti-monopoly laws for a good reason, I think, to prevent certain companies from owning essentially everything or running a complete industry. But the one thing we don't have that about is real estate.
Well, it's funny because I'm glad you mentioned that because the monopoly laws they're not actually enforced because
Oh,
if so
they're
then
not.
because if
But-
so then BlackRock wouldn't be owning everything.
Well, true,
Right.
but
Come on.
They would-
my point,
Seven,
You
the
know,
seven
like-
most
my
important
point
people
in
of
this
the
instance
planet.
about real estate
Planet.
is a lot of us sort of aware, much like in other countries, the wealthy are buying up all the property.
Yeah.
And the reason raw property is so expensive isn't necessarily because you are competing with me to buy this house. It's that there are a lot of people with money. There are people that own more than one house. There are companies that own tons of houses, banks own houses.
Companies. Yeah, there are
Yes.
companies that own the houses, but who owns the companies?
Right.
The
BlackRock.
seven most
True,
important
true.
Right, so
people
then-
of the planet.
It's a company called BlackRock.
Mhm.
They own
BlackRock.
The planet.
JP Morgan.
Yeah,
Or they own
JP Morgan is a
See,
big
we
one.
talking
Stop.
stop.
BlackRock.
Is it Vanguard?
I got it.
They
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so
yeah.
basically,
Got to stop.
so think
Pharmaceutical
about
companies
this.
on
We
that
have
list.
these two
I knew
companies.
it was gonna come in.
Okay, we have these two companies. And I'll just talk about BlackRock. There's BlackRock and Vanguard. So BlackRock owns, I'm not gonna name them all, but I'm gonna say Pfizer.
Right.
Okay, so they own the shot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They
Pfizer.
own pharmacies,
Yeah,
like big
pharmacy.
pharma.
big pharma, yeah,
They own NASA,
NASA.
basically.
come on.
What were you gonna
Basically,
say?
because, you
I was,
know,
I was gonna
They
say,
ain't called that
just
no
the
more.
other day when, Fox got sued by, Dominion voting machines. It came out like right after the day after, it was like saying, well, wait a minute. BlackRock owns Fox News and BlackRock owns, Dominion voting machines, so BlackRock is suing BlackRock.
right.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then
So it
they
just
think
turns
it's
into a
funny.
show.
And nobody
Nobody
got
questions.
understanding that.
No,
Right.
I question.
Because it creates
Nobody
too
really
much
does.
challenge in the belief of trust.
Right.
Because what if I've been watching Fox News and that's been my go-to for data?
Oh,
But-
no, they just got sued.
Right. And then it's like, but then it has to do with voting and this and that. And it's like, I want to pick this side because that's what we've been taught is we have to pick a side.
Right.
Yeah.
Not understanding that both sides can be the same.
Like Reese's
Hey,
and
and then
M&M's.
the
Reese's
settlement,
and M&M's are
hey,
the same.
and then
Exactly.
the settlement is the settlement judge. Who in the hell, what settlement are they gonna get?
I mean,
You know what I'm saying? Come on, really?
Who's
Their own
gonna-
money.
Who's gonna pay what if it's the same corporation?
right?
That's their part, yeah.
Exactly. It's just a transfer
But
of
that don't
funds.
come out in the news though.
No.
So
No.
nobody knows.
But what it does
So
though
that's
is
how we've been losing all our companies as we grow.
Well, BlackRock just buys them up.
Like the
Look,
Sloans
they own the planet.
See,
They own
So-
the planet.
yeah,
Okay,
he's
so
buying
then-
the company.
okay.
Exactly how we, yeah, it's like Ronald. Yeah.
So let's come up.
understand what
So
you're
let's
saying now.
move
I'm
through to
checking
solutions.
shit
I'm
out.
gonna do this.
How did that
All right, do this. I get wait. Wait.
Next match.
Scene two.
Scene two.
Scene two goes into what do we do about it?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Scene two goes into what do we do? What do you do? What do we do? What do you do? What do we do about all
You
this?
be more informed, or try to search out
Okay, so
as
we've
much
got
as you can.
being informed and doing research.
Right.
What else?
Well, for me, I try to. I mean, I can shop like anybody else, but I try to be more aware of things. And like, I don't shop with Amazon at all. Well, that whole and like when I go to the grocery store, I don't use the auto checkout because you're literally putting somebody out of work
Right.
and you're buying into a system.
That's right.
And just little what I can. I mean, honestly, the average person ourselves, we can take care of ourselves, our needs, do our things. But affecting change on a global scale is
Right.
difficult at best. So what I try to do is when I interact with people and do things, I try to, minimize the damage that I do buying into that whole system.
And who is the
Gotcha.
whistleblower?
So-
on that?
So yours is you make conscious decisions on where you shop and how you shop.
Yeah, pretty much. I try to, yeah.
Gotcha. What else? What else can you do? Yes.
Okay, that's when it comes down to cash money and machines.
Well,
Okay, let's just look at this scenario. When you go in the bank, what you see, they give you the credit card, but what you see, cash. So everything has been changed, right? You say certain machines that takes things away from other people, but you still getting taxed on that shit. I'm kind of saying, learning a little something.
Mhm.
That's
So-
my input.
So you would use more cash.
Well, it's
I mean-
cash is not going to be any more cash. It's like
Come on.
brother said.
I don't know.
You
that-
gotta
that-
have
that-
cash,
Hang on.
but still, you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what people say.
Bitcoin.
I don't have this.
Hang on.
binary
Hang on,
cash.
please hold on, please hold on.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jeff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Jeff.
You know, something like that. I'm
Most
learning,
people-
I'm learning something.
Okay.
Most people since 1913 has not figured out how the banking system works.
Right.
It's plainly put that it's called fractional reserve banking. And that means that a banking system is made up of their deposits. So the banks actually create money out of nothing because they lend out 90% of their deposits for loans.
Yeah.
So when people in bad times make runs or try to take their deposits out of the bank, that's why all of these banks in the last month or so has failed, because major depositors or major managers or CEOs of these banks have taken their deposits out of the bank,
Mhm.
and they have ended up failing, and the Federal
Well,
Reserve is trying to bail them out.
Right.
That's their job.
So-
Their
so-
loans.
So kind of going back to the question of like, what can you do, right? So we've got,
I just
basically,
look for
so
the
now,
wisdom
so
behind
we'll add into the mix of like, what can you do is have an awareness of how the money system works.
Right.
Okay, so that kind of plays into what you both said. So have an awareness of kind of like how the money system works.
Right.
What else can you do?
Use cash all the time.
You say use cash.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Cash.
That is the question. Is that what you're gonna answer?
Uh-huh.
Right, bro?
Okay.
I mean,
I'm gonna use cash.
Hang on.
I look for the source of what something is coming from. And what I do next is I put it in my mind to think about it, right? And then maybe I'll have a conversation with somebody just willy-nilly and bring it to them. Then they bring it to another person. Then they bring it to another person. Because as a person, I'm a low income, you know what I'm saying? I'm just in the system too. I'm on government and I'm in the state system, you know what I'm saying? I can't go nowhere. So my thing is, if I don't voice what I'm saying, then I'm not doing nothing.
Awesome. So you research, you contemplate, and then you talk
Voice,
about it
talk
with
about it.
so you have a conversation about it and
Right.
kind of then you just kind of be open to what comes through with that.
Think about it.
Okay. What else? What else do you do in stuff like where you're like, this system is jacked?
Well, for me, kind of what I was saying earlier, I'm as much as is possible, like, I'm not a big fan of technology either. I try to keep the system per se, the advancements that are supposedly good for all of us, which really just end up costing all of us, putting all of us out of work and costing all of us more money, so a select few can make more money. I try to push that as far away and live outside of that as I possibly can, because that's my comfort zone. Like, I don't really, I have an email because we're all kind of required to have one now, but I rarely ever use it.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer to talk to people on the phone. I have a cell phone, but I don't, I try to limit as much as I can being involved in all this stuff that we really just don't need.
Yeah. So you spend more time on a human level, less digital.
Yeah, I prefer to, yeah.
And so, there's something that was said that I would like to bring into the conversation to kind of tie all this together. Someone said that unless it happens on a global scale, it's not going to make a difference.
Pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, pretty much.
So then,
And for all of
right.
us.
So then I say, that feels like a victim mentality.
Victim, not volunteer.
Me, yeah, yes. That's exactly, yeah. Thank you for saying that. Because if I say, I'm going to wait for everybody in here to be nice to me before I'm nice to anyone else, but everybody thought that, we're going to be in a room with that bunch of assholes, right? But if I'm in a room and I say, I'm just going to be nice, I don't care if anyone's nice or not. I'm going to show up authentically. I'm going to do my research. I'm going to work with people. You know, I'm going to do what feels good to me, right? And I'm going to show up authentically in that way. Then what's likely to happen is someone else is going to be able to see that it too can be done. And then they will be like, well, if she can be nice, then I can be nice. And then someone else will say, oh, well, I can be nice too. And the next thing you know, that is the global shift. I can't wait for the change to be made outside of me. I can't wait for the system to change for me to be happy. I can't. We would never be happy. The system is corrupt. You know?
Speaking as the one
Hang
that
on.
made, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, you said global, so all these countries besides us are looking at the digital money. Well, this digital money is blockchain. So when you look at blockchain, you see the main word called quant. And quant is backed by all these corporations. So how can it be a blockchain that can't be deciphered, but yet have all these corporations behind quant?
Well, so I think BRICS is backing the money because like right now we're on the fiat system, so the dollar is backed on nothing.
Right. We there,
But
yeah.
but the other countries are backing it now on gold.
So-
Not all, but some are
Some.
backing it on gold. Well, here's the thing: if I have this and I say, "Give me $1.50 for this," or "Give me $1.50 for this," somebody's gonna be like, "Well, I'm gonna give you $1.50 and you have something in return, right? Like I'm gonna have something that's like tangible, like this is real." Right? So that's how we know that the system will tell us that this is real, but when in reality, it is nothing.
It's nothing.
Right? It is
Right.
nothing.
And they got
And
so
we
many-
are, and
they
we
got
are.
total shit for that.
We- I can't talk over you
Oh,
again, Rodney!
Talk about it.
Rodney!
Yeah.
But it's up, so we get to be the something,
Right.
right? We get to be the truth. Because the truth that we're being told from the system that we all know is corrupt, we know that. So then what can we do? We be the truth. That means that's the only thing that we can do. And for me, for us to be in our truth is going to be being with other humans, right? Shopping local as we can, which means for me that goes to the bulb. I go to the bulb market. Have you been there? Have you heard of this? Really? Have y'all heard of the bulb?
No. They take binary
Oh my
money.
God. It's donation based fruits and vegetables.
Oh.
It's
that's
all
it.
it's all donation based.
Free?
Wow.
You pay what you can.
Hey.
So they go around different locations to food insecure areas around Charlotte. It's a nonprofit. It's amazing. I highly encourage.
That's just right there.
And like go like take a bag.
That's
Yeah.
People
cool.
come vegetables. They got
Yes.
the vegetables.
Like great
vegetable
stuff.
market free at the bus station right
Yeah.
now. With all that stuff there.
Right. So they go around and so they have it all around.
I understand.
And
They-
then-
that's right.
Right. And so then you can learn who the farmers are because a lot of
There
times the
you
bulb
go.
will get it from the farmers or from other grocery stores.
There you go.
So then we start to know the farmers, which means we start to learn other people. And when I learn other people, then I'm going to know that this farmer's having a hard time. You know, maybe they've had a bad day or their crops are doing poor, whatever that is. But then I start to form deeper friendships. That starts to nourish my body. Literally, because I might be friends with a farmer, but also it feels good to be friends with another human.
Right. Human being.
You know what
Right?
you said?
Hang on. So
All
then
right.
my body,
So
so my body and my mind are going to start to feel really nourished
Yeah.
because I'm starting to be the truth of a human
A human.
that's not being
No,
oppressed or
yeah.
controlled or infiltrated by
Right.
the system.
The system.
And the stories that are just being fed to me in the news because I've been able to turn it off and come to real people and talk and be like, hey,
Right.
like I'm going to talk about my needs. I need fruits and vegetables in my
Right.
life. And then someone says, have you heard of the bulb?
Yeah.
But here's the
gotta
thing, the
find
news
out
isn't
now.
going to tell us about this stuff, right?
No.
They're just going to,
Non-profit. Anything non-profit.
yeah, it's all online. Yeah, if you go to I think their website, it might be like thebulb.com or thebulb.org.
Gotcha,
But I can
gotcha.
find
The
out
bulb,
for
is that
sure.
spelled like bulb?
BULB.
Oh,
Like an onion bulb or a root bulb or a light bulb.
But let me say this, Jane, please. You told me one time, and it was amazing, that you only take eggs from a chicken that you're friends with.
Yeah,
That's cool.
it's true.
That is cool.
It's true. Which means that I haven't had eggs in a while.
There you go.
That's okay, but that's
Ain't
okay.
no
So I
friends
think
with
it's all
chicken and
right.
eggs that they're growing up. How you figure that?
Right?
Ain't no friends
Life
with
is-
the chickens on the yard growing
Life
up on the
is
farm.
difficult. Yeah.
Never gonna happen.
Sometimes you gotta make a friend with a rock.
Well, they used to be
We
friends.
take
You like you say, a friend chicken.
We take what
One
we
day.
get.
hang on,
We human.
hang on. Yeah.
So just referring to the comment I made earlier that you spoke of, I wasn't really speaking from a victim.
No, I mean, no, I'm saying.
If I can finish, I was just saying, I think it's important to have courage to change the things we can and the wisdom to know the things that we can't change. Because there are things you can change in your personal life. And of course, all change begins in a small group. But just because it begins in a small group doesn't mean the world is going to change tomorrow because we want it to. And not everybody behaves the same way, to the same reaction, and so on.
Yeah.
So that's all I was saying.
Yeah, and it's
I
also
wasn't
like.
encouraging
Here,
people to be
I'm
victims.
so very curious. Who believes in miracles? That miracles can happen.
I do.
Cool. So
I'm
what?
a
So hold on, wait. Keep your hands up for me. If you believe that miracles can happen, so I'm gonna say that is what 80%, 90% in this room. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have 90% of like then the world that believes in miracles. So what if there's a miracle one day where everybody wakes up and says, you know what? I'm gonna reclaim my human truth of love.
Thank you.
And I'm just gonna be a human now. Then you know what? That global change actually does happen overnight.
Shut it down.
Right? But
You
if I
said
believe,
you
but
were
if I
that,
don't believe
if
in
I'm not
miracles and
loved,
I don't believe anything that can happen in a greater scale, then I don't feel inspired to take action in the now.
Yeah.
Then I become really lazy in my choices. I'm talking about me. I become really lazy in my choices if I'm gonna wait until things get easier before I start to make a difference or a change in my life.
Right.
But if I'm the bold, brave one in this courageous now, it's like, you know what? I'm gonna talk to the people. I'm gonna be the brave one that will wait in the line to go stand and have the human ring me up as opposed to me going to the self-checkout. Right? You know what? Like I'm gonna be patient. That's a brave human to be patient at a time where we're told we gotta get stuff done.
Oh yeah, I'd rather
You
wait in
know.
line than go to the self-checkout.
Right.
That's
Old
me.
school.
So I think so I think, here we are, kind of tying it all back in to where we started, is that we're in this eclipse portal that's coming to an end on Saturday with a full moon and a lunar eclipse.
Oh, so
Which
it's by
means
the end.
that the portal is, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
This
because
is
we're between,
confusing.
we're between these eclipses. We started with a solar eclipse, and then Friday, Saturday is a lunar eclipse.
Okay.
So in this time, that means, so we're moving into this big change. It's a portal. What's a portal? It's a lane. It's a
Lane.
birthing canal.
Yeah,
It's, oh God, things are changing.
Change
That
the
means that
girl.
I get to change.
Good,
Every time
good.
I change,
Change.
the bigger picture changes, right? So then to me, it's being able to be really aware of whatever truths are out there, whatever the news is telling us, that some may be true, some may not be true, but we do know that the system that's providing the information does have an agenda.
Yeah.
It does. It has an agenda.
But
Okay.
controlled by a very few.
Totally. Yeah, like 13 families.
Yeah.
And so then it's like,
Right.
let me work on, let me just do the things that light me up, right? Let me just go outside. Let me go human with people. Let me go get some fruits and veggies. Let me take a walk outside. Let me just be really healthy and well, because it might be a really hard time for a lot of people right now. You know, we have a really dope community here. Like where we can be seen, we can be heard, we can talk about anything, we can show up however we show up, we can show up consistently, we can show up every so often, and we're still welcomed and loved here. That's rare.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have what we are experiencing in this right now moment.
Right.
And because we have this right now moment, literally, we feel better. We feel like, oh, I mean, I feel good. Like, okay, that's cool. We can talk about whatever. Like, we feel safe. We feel seen. We feel heard. Like, we have this now. A lot of people are moving through their reality and don't feel they have anybody. They might have the biggest house down the street and the fanciest car, and it doesn't matter. because they don't have what is truly life-giving. It's what nourishes our body, our mind, and our spirit. So we'll just close on that remembrance that we actually have everything we need. We have more than enough. We have a lot more support than most people ever have had, or ever will have. And so then when we see people around in the community, whether they're having a hard time or not, we can just give them a lot of love and be really grateful that we get to be in our now, no matter where our now is. We can keep nourishing ourselves in that way.
I gotta keep remembering.
Does that feel good?
I gotta keep
Sounds
remembering.
good.
Okay.
That's
Okay,
something that
cool.
I gotta keep
So
in
I'm
my mind.
great-
I had my best moment.
Oh,
I'm just saying. I had my
thank you.
best moment.
I'm grateful that y'all came in today.
Did you?
With me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Come on, will y'all be here on Thursday with me at 10?
No, we're not.
Let's get this thing started, boy.
No, we're not.
Is
There's so many nows.
Is that
Oh,
a
yeah.
steamroller or what is it? Oh, it's a camera.
It's a Polaroid.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Enjoy this day.
TJ.
Bye. Amen. There's the button.
I gotta
There it is.
get
Okay.
out of here.